It's that time again for ESPN's live coverage of the PBA Tour. We are coming to you from Spectrum Lanes in Wyoming, Michigan, near Grand Rapids. The drama continues as our final 5 bowlers compete for next year's All-Exec Field. A win today and they're in for next season. Plus, big prize money and valuable tour points are at stake. First from Lake Worth, Florida, he won his 4th career title in his last TV appearance back in February of 2001, Steve Wilson. His 2 career titles both came last season when he finished 7th in earnings and 10th in points from Wichita, Kansas, Lonnie Waliczek. From Amarillo, Texas, today makes his 3rd consecutive finals appearance, 2nd in the PBA World Rankings, the hottest bowler in the world, Mike Scroggins. His 10 PBA titles include the last 3 Tournament of Champions with over $1 million in career earnings. From Claremont, Florida, it's Jason Couch. From Little Falls, Minnesota, his best finish before this week was 16th, making his first ever TV Finals appearance, Jeff Smith. Those are the final 5 today in Greater Grand Rapids, Michigan. Randy Peterson, let's look at the brackets today, starting with a wild card match.
Thanks, Dave. The wild card match is a rematch of last night's round of 8, where Lonnie Waliczek defeated Steve Wilson 4 games to 1. Semifinal number 1 is a battle of left-handers, as 10-time winner Jason Couch takes on the red-hot Mike Scroggins. And Jeff Smith, looking for his first title, awaits the winner of the wild card in the 2nd semifinal.
Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire PBA crew. Live coverage of the PBA continues. Great crowd today. Some tailgating going on outside our bowling center in Wyoming, Michigan. Leftover Halloween outfits, I hope.
I don't know. We've got people with no shirts, half-naked people.
We've got a Santa Claus out there. Lonnie Waliczek will get things going. 2nd TV appearance for him. We saw him in Omaha to begin the season. On lane 11. That's a little high through the nose there to begin his day.
Playing way in, too, to start. Players did get a half-hour of practice. This pattern B this week, and we'll get to that a little bit later, was a little bit tricky early on.
Picks up a spare. Good cover, Lonnie Waliczek, to begin his afternoon. Now someone we have not seen in a long time on TV. All last season, he was not in the TV final. Steve Wilson, 33 years old, Lake Worth, Florida. Like Lonnie, family travels with Steve. Had to hurry, and then came in
That's
light.
not a good start.
Not the start he wanted, as he just mentioned.
Got it right. Got it outside the spot in this week. There was a lot of oil to the outside part of the lane, and when you got it to that spot, there was absolutely 0 friction. The ball had no chance of getting back to the head pin on both the left and the right side of the lane.
We're on tour 4 times as Steve Wilson. Last time, 01-02 season, trying to cover here, does so with a nice spare for Steve Wilson. Our first Baby Ruth real deal matchup, Randy.
The one thing that really stands out to me is right here, the strike percentage. Even though Steve Wilson's strike percentage was a lot lower, when he didn't strike, he left himself spares he could make. That's why his average was only 2 pins a game lower than Lonnie's.
Slow starter indeed. Lonnie into mental focus. You can see already he's trying the best he can in that department. Visualization big for him. Wilson visualizing and executing a perfect ball for his first strike of the day.
Yeah, that ball not as far right, Dave Ryan, and reads the lane properly, gets back to the pocket.
6th year on the PBA Tour. Lonnie Waliczek, who won his first 2 titles in Las Vegas and Louisville, Kentucky last year. in the pocket, but a 7-pin.
Lonnie playing much deeper than Steve Wilson is, gets his hand to float around the side of the ball to get that slight back end reaction down the lane. Comes in just a pinch light.
Spare ball, missed it. Unbelievable string of open frames we've had on the PBA Tour this year. Last week in Chicago, big nemesis for the players.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. I don't know what's going on, but you know, I said it last week. The players don't miss single pin spares. Last year we only missed 5 all of last season. This year they've already missed 6.
Last week in Chicago, 4 of 13 were missed on TV, Rand. Unbelievable number to look at for bowlers of this caliber, looking for the messenger across the deck for the 10-pin, and Lonnie does not get the break he had hoped for. Well, mental focus, such a big aspect of Lonnie's game. He's going to really have to bear down now after the open frame.
Right now he's thinking about, you know, I just need to keep this on the lane, throw it nice and straight. Just like that.
Takes care of the 10-pin in his 10th career TV appearance, 2nd of this season. Lost to the eventual champ Robert Smith in Omaha to begin our tour season. 269 to 202. Steve Wilson works on a strike. Chance here for a 22-pin lead. Maybe strikes again. Liked it. Upon the release, you heard him. Steve Wilson knew that was headed toward the pocket.
Yeah, he got it to that spot we were talking about. You see these 2 dark boards right here? That's the 10 board on both the left and right side of the lane. If the players get the ball to the outside part of those boards, it does not get back. It's going to stay out. Anything on that spot or to the inside part of that spot, when the shot is executed properly, the ball will get to the pocket.
This wild card match featuring 2 right-handers, but we have 3 lefties in our show today, as we did last week in Chicago. So the southpaw supremacy on the tour. Yeah. Wanted that to hold. It did nicely. And the boisterous crowd loves it.
Nice look here, and you're going to see Steve Wilson, what he's been doing all week. Real soft hand to keep the ball in line. It hits the spot perfectly, and that ball is buried. Talk about that spot, Dave. That's the spot. That's the hook spot or the break point. That's where the ball starts to change direction. That's where friction is created down the lane.
Lonnie down 32 pins, needs a rally. That's how you do it. Shreds the rack. Lonnie Waliczek. To get here, wins over Hayden and then defeated Steve Wilson, who eventually became the wild card. And a rematch here today on the TV show in Grand Rapids.
After the first 9 games of qualifying, Lonnie very upset. Didn't think he was going to make it into the 2nd round. Gets into the 2nd round and just squeaks into the top 32. Now Lonnie's made a ball change. Looks like he's moved a little bit right. Actually, he's deeper.
Strike here, he's down 22, Randy. That came in high. And just 7 down. A little emotional will be an understatement. He really lost his temper after that 9-game block.
Yeah, he really did. It just goes to show you how much pressure there is on the tour this year with the elite field, everybody trying to get into the top 50 on the point list, trying to win. And this is only week 4. Can you imagine what's going to happen week 14?
Pressure building because of the all-exempt tour. And the pressure certainly on Lonnie now has got to be through the roof. Another open frame. The 10-pin stands for him.
Start with that.
A 2nd time already in this match through 5 and open for Lonnie. Now Steve Wilson has a huge opening. 3 in a row. Chance for a 4-bagger and a 54-pin lead with a strike. Steve Wilson. And that came in light. Look out.
You know, when you bowl at home, you've got that free hook to the right on those league shots. This ball is going to get to the right of that spot, and guess what? It's got no chance. very good numbers considering your tour average is about 4 or 5% on split conversions. He's got to get the ball to the left side of the 2-pin, slide it over into the 10.
Can he converts? Takes care of it. Just as our Randy Peterson diagram for you, to the left of the 2, and takes down the 10-pin.
And this is really huge, too, because Lonnie opens twice. He's working on a 3-bagger. He converts. He stays clean. Maintains his 42-pin lead.
Steve Wilson last year, folks, won just $30,050 on tour. He'll leave Grand Rapids with at least $13,550 after this week, but a chance to earn much more with this wild card win and boost himself up on the money list for this week. The wild card numbers, highest qualifying pinfall.
Yeah, and you know, Steve Wilson, again, in that same boat where he didn't think he was going to make the first cut. When he did, he took advantage of it. Ended up being our wild card because of the fact that he was the highest seed out of the round of 8. That did not win.
10-pin. You saw he lost to Lonnie, but in the rematch, Steve Wilson, a 41-pin lead. 2 open frames for Waliczek, really hurting him. Can he rebound is the question. One was a 7-pin, one was a 10-pin. Open frames, emotional moments for Lonnie. More coming up. This is the 66th event in the great state of Michigan on the PBA Tour. 11th in the Grand Rapids, Wyoming area. We're in the middle of our wild card match with, to say the least, an enthusiastic crowd enjoying the action today. Randy, we talked about Mike Scroggins in the opening of the broadcast and the introduction. He said he's the hottest bowler on the planet right now. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 3 telecasts in a row, and he's doing it on a lot of different patterns. I mean, you know, Mike Roth, no secret. Mike Scroggins, no secret that he's got that great regional career. He actually won 3 regionals in a row, back to 2 times in his career. But he only made 1 show last year. And he is red hot. He is the hottest player on the planet. And there's a reason for that. He's matching up to the patterns really well. Now, even though last week you saw him play the extreme outside line, obviously completely out of play. There's so much oil outside the 10 board on both sides of the lane, it's out of bounds. You get it there, it does not hook. Mike Scroggins and Jeff Smith are going to go much straighter from the track area around the second arrow, along with Steve Wilson. But Jason Couch, our big power player, he's going to be in and feeding it to that same spot down the lane.
For a more detailed look at the PBA's oil patterns, along with the latest tournament results, player spotlights, news of the senior and regional tours, and much more, check out the PBA's official website at www.pba.com. Down by 41. How in the world can Lonnie Waliczek rebound from 2 open frames? We've mentioned a lot about the mental focus. He's into that psychological end of sports fitness and training. Break on the 7-pin. There's a good start.
Well, that's one way to get back into it. Just start striking a lot. Switch balls, went to a ball that's more aggressive. He moved further left, got it to the spot. The great release gets the ball to return back to the pocket. Went high on this lane, the last frame, the 5th frame. It's going to be interesting to see if he moves further left or moves further right and goes straighter.
First ever head-to-head matchup with Wilson on TV for Lonnie Waliczek. In fact, he has not faced the rest of the field on TV. Changing today. Another ball out of the pocket for him coming in light.
Same thing that Steve Wilson left, with the exception of the 4-pin standing. Same idea. Get the ball over into here. Have the ball throw the 2-pin into the 10. The ball will then go take out the 4-pin. You got it right at that spot again. And theoretically, with only 20 boards out of play, great spare conversion. Dave Ryan with 20 boards out of play, literally half the lane is gone. Straight in hard with a plastic spare ball. Covered nicely.
Pats himself on the back after opens when the 2nd and the 5th frame for Lonnie. Wilson working on a spare of 41 pins. Trying to keep it in cruise control in the pocket. 60 feet to success for Steve Wilson.
And straighter is greater. He's going much straighter than Lonnie Waliczek, and you see the big move that he made in the second round. Went to school after the first 9 games, just barely made it. Said to me last night, Randy, I just feel like I had, new life, and I took advantage of it.
Lonnie Waliczek, Steve Wilson, Mike Scroggins didn't think they were going to make it past the first 9-game block of qualifying. But the B squad did not pull well overall as he comes in high right through the nose, and a very difficult split again coming up for him.
It just
4-7 and 6.
Excuse me, Dave. It just shows you how tough the lanes are. That ball was literally 2 boards left of the right spot. That's 2 inches. And he gets 7 in an open frame.
So, Randy, what is it like for the bowlers who didn't think they were going to make it? Mike Scroggins said, hey, I'm packing my gear up. There's an open frame for Steve Wilson. Packing his gear up to go on to the next stop. As we're heading off to Toledo next week. They've got to re-gear and get themselves mentally focused again.
Well, Mike Scroggins actually had a flight scheduled for yesterday to go home.
10-pin there for Lonnie Waliczek.
Steve Wilson's got a 30-pin lead, and Lonnie Waliczek, you see where his ball's crossing at the arrows, the 5th arrow on the left side of the lane, the 25th board. Even though it still goes out to that same spot, that hook spot down the lane, Steve Wilson much more direct. And the one thing that I've always learned out on tour, even though that's the way Lonnie played the lanes all week, when the lanes get really tough, straighter is greater. Keep the ball in play, keep it on line.
Lonnie telling us a lot of work in the offseason with the former Chicago White Sox strength coach. Another high shot throw through the nose one more time for him. A lot of running, weightlifting, and he's got a tailor-made program for someone on the move, on the road all the time. Lives with his family in the motor home, traveling from site to site. That's helped him a lot. Get this far, but he's had his struggles to march to the PBA World Championship. Brad Angelo, last year's Rookie of the Year, who made a show for the first time in his career in Omaha, hasn't won yet on tour, is the leader. How about Mike Scroggins? I asked him before the matches today, what's it like with 25,000 points in the line today? What's it like to be number 2? And he said, I'm number 2? I can't believe it. He's shocked.
Brad Angelo is the only player that has made it into the round of 16 all 4 weeks.
Another high shot. We've seen a lot of that today.
Well, at least this split he has a chance to make if he gets the ball far enough over and slide the 4 across. Take a look here. This ball is going to be just a pinch left of the spot. I'm talking an inch. But what happens is under the lights, when the heat, the temperature in the building goes up, the oil dissipates, the lanes start to break down a lot faster than they would during the week. Time to make an adjustment.
Oil pattern B for baffled?
Yeah.
The players are really wondering what's going on. He trips the 10. What a spare, Steve Wilson. Across the deck they go, and down goes number 10.
I told you, at least he left himself one he could make. And this was perfect. He needs 5 pins to win after making that. That was huge.
In the foundation frame. What a mark, Steve Wilson.
Tough enough just to get it off your hand and hit your spot and get it to the pocket under these kind of pressures and lane conditions.
That's all he needs and more. Twisters the rack with a perfect shot. And Steve Wilson has advanced off to the semifinals. That's where we'll take on Jeff Smith, another left-hander they've never met before.
You think the Tiger Woods red has anything to do with the split combination that Steve Wilson's making?
Has he been able to convert and make big shots the way Tiger does? Another big one there for Steve Wilson. They are fast-tracking to the end since the match has been decided already. It will be Wilson off to the semifinals to take on Smith. Steve Wilson had gone 25 events without a show until today. Last time on TV, February 2002, he won it in Erie, Pennsylvania in 01.
What's that all about?
The frustration will continue for Waliczek on TV this year. Remember, though, in Las Vegas and then Louisville, he came through with his first 2 career wins. How about 1? But he's got a good attitude about it.
Yeah.
.215, 169 winner. And Jeff Smith, making his first ever TV show, will be in his first ever semi against Steve Wilson. Left-hander Mike Scroggins, the hottest bowler in the world with 3 straight shows against Mr. 3-peat, Jason Couch, who's won 3 TOCs in a row. The Pepsi Open near Grand Rapids, Michigan, rolling on. Jason, you said earlier today to me how confident you are with 3 left-handers in the field. How much of that confidence has to do with your off-season workout regimen, getting yourself physically and mentally in shape?
Oh, tremendously, Dave. I worked very hard in the off-season on my game, fine-tuning it and getting myself in a little better shape, and I'm looking to be the champion today.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
First ever TV head-to-head. Jason Couch, Mike Scroggins, ready?
Jason Couch, 3 months, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day of practice. The Kegel Training Center in Sebring, Florida, with Coach Richard Shockley. He said that's the one thing that's made all the difference, is just all that hard work and practice. He's got his legs in real good shape, a lot of treadmill and bike work. But this guy here is in fuego. Mike Scroggins, his 3rd telecast in a row. Mike Scroggins went light, left the 1-3-7. And again, we're going to talk about it all day. Getting it left or right of that spot, depending on which hand you throw.
0-2 this year, and we talked to Mike earlier before the show, Randy, today. He's just glad Mika Koivuniemi's not on this show because he lost the back-to-back semifinal matches to the Big Finn. Can he make it 4 straight appearances on TV for the first time in his career? We're coming from Toledo, Ohio, and note the start time, 2 p.m. Eastern next week. Then we're back to 1 o'clock after that when we go to Philadelphia. The best bowlers in the world from Toledo, Ohio. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And remember, the winners on tour this year, plus points leaders who are not in the winners list, will be exempt in the 64-man field next year. What a pickup there for Mike Scroggins. Great mark.
It seems to me that the only problem with spare shooting is when there's only one of them. They're not having any trouble making the splits, the washouts. Put a single pin spare up, it's an adventure.
From Claremont, Florida, near Orlando, Jason Couch. 2 pins up for him on his first ball. We heard the confidence that he had coming into this match today.
Big steep backswing. Jason Couch, he creates all that power and revolutions by snapping that wrist at the bottom of the swing. He gets it a little bit left of that spot. Jason has to be careful of one thing, Dave, and that's throwing the ball too hard, overthrowing it. That's been his Achilles heel forever.
Achilles heel has not been a TOC, the first ever 3-peat in that great major event. The maybe real deal matchup of this one, Randy.
It's a pretty close matchup here. The only thing that really stands out to me is Scroggins knocked down more pins, much higher strike percentage, did strike a lot, and something that Jason is used to doing, is striking more than everybody else when he makes the telecast.
In match play, he's done very well, head-to-head with fellow southpaw Mike Scroggins, but they've never matched up on TV before. Down goes the 7 late.
The old Tomahawk 7. This ball picks up at the right spot down the lane, starts to grab and goes right. Four-pin goes to the sidewall and just tomahawks the 7 out.
Mike Scroggins told us before the show today, if he can just get by this semifinal match, which he hasn't done the last 2 weeks, he thinks he can win the whole thing. With shots like that, he might just do it.
Needs to get like 1 win under his belt and then, you know, kind of move on from there. He's got plenty of confidence, obviously, from what he's done the last 3 weeks.
Get this far, Joe Ciccone, which is one of our spotters and stats men in the truck on the PBA Tour, one of our several players who are active and work with us on our weekly broadcast when they're not competing on TV. Great week for Joe. And you see what happened at the first round, 58. He had packed up his gear and was all set to go.
Yeah, 58th to 6th. That's a huge jump.
On lane 11. Yeah! Wanted it to carry. It did just that. Right into the pocket. 10 down in the pit for Mike Scroggins.
Nice and straight and direct. Just a pinch right of the spot. That ball's dead flush. He says, all right, it's game on now. Bring it on, Jason.
Lefties head-to-head. Now, you talked about the ball reaction and how pattern B will develop with the righties. How about with lefties here?
Well, it's going to be interesting because Jason's so far right.
Yeah! Down goes the 10 lead.
So much further right than Mike Scroggins is that no matter what happens to Mike Scroggins' shot, it's not going to affect Jason's and vice versa. Jason Couch asking for a re-rack to either A, buy time, or B, he doesn't like the setup of the pins. Doesn't like maybe they're off spot. Maybe one of the pins is off spot.
Left-handers through 4 events last year, just 1 southpaw in, 8 already. Scroggins, Couch, Jeff Smith, we haven't seen him yet. He'll be in the semis in the next match. Scroggins and Horan in Kansas City. Scroggins, Patrick Allen, Parker Bone III last week in Chicago, and then, as we mentioned, Scroggins, Couch, Jeff Smith here in Grand Rapids. Southpaws rule. This year on the tour. Why the lefty success?
They've got a real good look, and the one thing that left-handers do is when they have a good shot, they all seem to migrate in the same spot or the same target on the lane, with the exception of 1 or 2 guys, so they don't beat up the lane conditions. You know, there's more right-handers on the right side, a lot of different styles. Right-handers play all over the place, and it really breaks down the lane pattern. Left-handers, they like to stay in one place.
Mike Scroggins likes the place he's in right now, and our tailgaters, the rowdiest fans we've seen on tour this year, are thinking about a party with Mike Scroggins. Should he win his first title since '92?
They had one out in the parking lot earlier.
Not a great start in Omaha, but since then he has been on fire. 3 straight TV shows for the first time in his career. Walter Ray Williams Jr. did that twice last year. 3-peated shows. 1-1 in the midst of each 3 TV show run. That was the great Walter Ray Williams Jr. last year, but this year Walter Ray has not made a show through 4.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit of a slump, and I know it's only the 4th week, but as dominant as Walter Ray was last year, you know, we just haven't seen him. He's made 2 rounds of 32s, only to lose. And everybody's kind of wondering, you know, what's happening with Walter Ray?
So where has he been? Well, through last year at this point, he had 2 TV appearances, but no wins. No appearances, obviously no victories. The points are way down this year. Interesting, his quote was, before the season started, he would not catch Earl Anthony's record of 41 titles. Didn't think he could do it. This is after completely dominating the tour last year. So did Walter Ray know something, maybe?
Wow, I don't know. Maybe he's clairvoyant. You know, maybe his body's not feeling as strong as it did last year. Who knows?
Got to stay behind it.
Same thing that Steve Wilson made, only on the opposite side. This is the left-handed version of the 210, the 3-7. Simple. Get it to the right side of the 3-pin, throw it over into the 7.
Trying to up the low number on his split conversions. Won't do it there. 7-pin stands and open frame. The first we've had of this semifinal match. Is it, in fact, the day Mike Scroggins wins a semi in his 3rd straight show and advances to a final. Final 8. Couch down 13 pins. 6th frame, trying to rebound from the open. Needs one here. Gets it.
Much better.
Much better indeed, Jason.
Not out of there.
That strike helps out his possibilities in this semifinal. With our great crowd on hand in Grand Rapids, can Mike Scroggins finally advance to a finals? Hasn't done it in his 2 prior shows. Jason Couch stands in his way. The king of these lanes last year was Eugene McCune, who won his first ever title in Grand Rapids. Eugene did not make our TV show this year. Mike Scroggins thinking about championship as well. 6th frame, up 13, as he works on a spare here. He's not won since 1992 in Sacramento. But has had a great year. 2nd in tour points coming into this TV show today. 7-pin up for him now. Must have been a sign of things to come, Randy, over the summer when he won 4 regional titles. And as you mentioned, just got himself in gear.
Yeah, you know, he's got a lot of regional titles. I think 27 to be exact. He bowls a lot of regional titles, and he was a dominant player on the regional circuit. Now trying to take that to a higher level out here. But here's the difference between what Jason Couch is doing and what Mike Scroggins is doing. Jason Couch's ball crossing the middle arrow, which is the 20th board. Mike Scroggins is around the 13th board. Jason Couch a full 7 boards right with his ball at the arrows.
On lane 11. Not what he wanted there, 4 standing. You mentioned earlier, Randy, the plane ticket. Supposed to fly out this weekend. He purchased that plane ticket in August, thinking he'd break up the tour a little bit after the first 4 stops, get home to his family in Amarillo, Texas. And his wife back home is telling the kids, Dad will be here Sunday, don't worry. However, no one thought he'd make a 3rd straight show. So he told us before the show today how disappointed his family was back home. He wouldn't be coming back to Texas. He's got to go right to the next stop after making another show. But hopefully he can bring them home a victory. That would be a pretty sweet way to end that story. Our days in on the road. Next week, remember, we're 2 o'clock Eastern in Toledo. And then the site of Randy's last winner on Randy Peterson, defending champion in Philadelphia. Of course, Raw Point Tour, the TOC in Uncasville, Connecticut. Some regional schedules to look at as well. Big Springs, Texas, Buffalo, and California.
Santa Maria, California. I lived there for 10 years. Nice, quiet little town. It was beautiful.
Chance for a 2-pin lead with a strike. He does it. Stay slow.
You hear him say, stay slow. Shot before that, where he left the split, he said, you got to roll it. That's to get the ball to do this down the lane. Right there. That was one of the biggest keys this week, Dave. Getting the ball to roll, to read the pattern the right way. You had to stay soft or keep your hand underneath it and get that ball to roll quick.
Strike numbers for each. Couch trying to make it 6 of 8 here. 12-pin lead if he can do it.
Oh.
Could not get help late with a 3-pin.
And that's a huge break.
Go around the ball.
Yeah, he did that time and got real fortunate to only leave the 3-pin. I'm not even going to make a prediction on whether or not this will be covered. I mean, you would think, obviously, but the way things have been going the last couple of weeks, hard to say.
Near perfect this week for Jason Couch. However, bowlers over the last couple of weeks have had their problems. 3-pin, no issue for Couch this time around.
Jesus.
Always emotional.
Well, I think he's awake, obviously, but just maybe a little bit too pumped up. And that's Jason's MO. He gets fired up. And, you know, that match he bowled against, or the match last night against Brad Angelo, man, was he fired up that last game?
Two up here for Scroggins, his wife Melanie, sons Ross and Will, baby Maggie watching back home in Texas. And his twin brother Mark must be tuned in as well, we're sure. Former PBA Rookie of the Year himself, who plans to bowl at the ABC Masters and the Reno stop in addition to Dallas, so we'll see him out there. Mark, a coach at West Texas A&M in Canyon, Texas, about 10 miles from Amarillo.
Doesn't get any tighter than this. Both guys go to the wall with strikes. 235 to 232. Advantage Jason Couch.
And 11, Scroggins.
Watch the level head of Mike Scroggins, how it doesn't move, so he can get that ball off his hand the same way every time. Down and in. Really taking advantage of the patterns the last couple of weeks, even though 2 weeks prior to this week, he played that outside line, which he's probably more comfortable doing. But this week just shows you how much talent he has by being able to move in and play the deeper shot.
Couch comes through one more time.
Re-rack.
Jeff Smith has never made a TV show, folks. He's head-to-head with Steve Wilson. That's the second semifinal. Another lefty is Smith. The third of our 3 left-handers we have in Grand Rapids.
Taking a re-rack, buying a little extra time. That was his second of the game. He's out of re-racks. We're only allowed 2. 2 strikes and 8 pins. Jason Couch is a winner.
The pressure he talked about to us before the match today.
I like it!
Wow. He did like it, but the 7-pin is up for Jason Couch.
Good shot.
Big, giant, ringing 7. Player can feel it as soon as it leaves your hand, whether it's good or bad, and as soon as he let that one go, he knew it was good. The only problem is the 7-pin did not cooperate.
His daughter's Courtney, 7 years old, Haley 5, watching back home in Florida. Jason said to us the pressure is something he really wants and thrives on, likes the all-exempt field for next year. Everyone, in his words to us today, accountable for their bowling. That's key to him.
Well, I think I have to agree with that statement. But the situation at hand is simple. If Jason Couch gets 8 or more on this ball, he's going to look for some help from Mike Scroggins to advance.
Things are still tight. Big shot, Jason Couch.
Oh,
Late help.
Last frame. Put him in last frame because it was a better shot.
Down goes number 7. The ringing 7 of the last frame he was referring to.
look at this slaughter. The head pin's just looking for people to knock out. Takes out the 7-pin.
Last frame. Put him in last frame because it was a better shot.
Simple now. Mike Scroggins needs the first strike and 7 pins. And he's going to take care of Jason Couch. Anything less, Jason Couch advances.
Mike Scroggins made 1 TV show last year. Lost to Walter Ray Williams Jr. in Detroit. He's back in Michigan, trying to get himself to a finals, however. He won't do it.
And
It's a washout.
And as good as Mike Scroggins has been bowling, he'll be the first one to tell you that was a terrible shot. Got it right or left of the spot. That ball had no chance.
Talking to his daughters Courtney and Haley back home in Florida. Scroggins cannot cover. The 7-pin is up. An open frame does in Mike Scroggins, and Jason Couch has advanced to the finals.
One more for Daddy.
Talking to his young daughters back home in Florida. Bidding for an 11th career title, Mr. TOC would like to win on a regular tour stop and clinch exempt status for next year. He beats Scroggins by 15 pins. For now, Jason Couch does rule. Much more coming up from Grand Rapids. Couch got the breaks he wanted when he needed them. He's off to the final round. We hope everyone has had a safe and happy Halloween weekend. Back at Spectrum Lanes for the Pepsi Open in Grand Rapids. It was 2 seasons ago in Grand Rapids that Pete Weber put the new PBA on the map. We look back at today's Miller milestones.
The poster boy of the PBA. Freer to do a little more things.
Oh, how about that? Ah, let's go!
I feel like I was just being me.
Oh, yeah! Yes! Yeah! How about it? How about it?
Oh yeah, it's on now.
Yeah! Yeah, that's right, baby! That's right, I'm on it now!
Crotch job.
Oh, what do you think about that one?
That was the first time I'd ever done it on TV. And I tell you, it felt good. You're talking to me?
PDW threw a $2.99 that day en route to the title. His victim, none other than Steve Wilson. He is not here today, but Wilson looks for victory against Jeff Smith in semifinal number 2. Remember, Jeff Smith has never made a TV show. The left-hander making his debut. We'll hear with him from Randy in a few moments. Head-to-head, coming up with Wilson. Every bowler on the PBA Tour must remember his first ever TV appearance. That is the case right now for Jeff Smith, joined laneside by Randy.
Jeff Smith only has 3 regional titles to his career. But Jeff, this is your first trip to the big show. How'd you sleep last night?
Not very good, Randy, but you know what? If a guy can't get up in this setting, I'm all on adrenaline. Let's go.
All right, well, he sounds ready, Dave Ryan. You know, with a big win today, Jeff Smith could have an occupational change from interior decorator to full-time touring player.
Maybe so, Randy. Works for Bill's Decorating and Bill Osberg, his boss back home in Little Falls, Minnesota. Ready again for Steve Wilson from Lake Worth, Florida. Not far from West Palm. A couple hours north of Miami. 1-1 already against Waliczek and blisters the rack in this semifinal match, head-to-head with Jeff Smith. Good start.
There's Sherry and Sarah.
That was a good choice.
Go, Daddy, go.
But where's little Emma?
Who's watching little Emma?
5-month-old baby daughter is little Emma. Sherry and Sarah are here rooting on Steve Wilson. First ball on TV. And a 6-pin for Jeff Smith from Minnesota. 30 miles or so north of St. Cloud, 90 miles north of the cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. His family back home's watching closely. Wife Mary, kids Molly, Abby, Thomas, and Susie. Takes care of his mark. And you know that's a big relief. The real deal matchup, Randy.
Yeah, just staying upright first couple of shots. Jeff Smith out-averaged Steve Wilson by 3 pins a game and took out some really big opponents this week en route to the championship round. Tommy DeLute's slow start, but he got it going after he got a couple of games under his belt. You see his first game average, but look at his second game average, how big he improved once he got comfortable and got a good feel.
He's got to get the feel early, though, Randy. It's only a 1-game format here. If you don't win, you do not advance in our thrilling TV format. And again, he's got 2 pins to deal with to try to cover and get his mark.
This ball, you can see that it's just a pinch right of that dark board, about the 9th board on the left side. Saw Mike Scroggins do it. No friction there.
Very unusual to see the 5-pin up. 3 to 5. Oh, my goodness. Another open frame.
Boy, and if you're not tight prior to the start of the match, you are after doing something like that for your first time. Chops the 3 right off the 5. Take a deep breath, Jeff. Relax.
Wilson, a PBA member since 1986, has won 4 PBA titles, knows what the bright lights of TV are all about as he shreds the rack there.
All right, now you can see that this ball is actually going to be to the right of that spot. It's actually left down the lane. The right side of the lane is drying up a little bit, so now Steve is migrating towards the center part of the lane to pick up a little bit more oil to help keep that ball on line.
15th career TV appearance today. Steve Wilson, the only of our bowlers. That holds nicely. The only one of the 5 who is over 500 in his career TV record coming in. He's now 13-10 after the victory over Lonnie Waliczek in the wild card.
You know, it was just amazing. We come in Thursday night. We bowled A squad this week. Myself, Steve Wilson, Mike Scroggins, Lonnie Waliczek. We come in to watch B squad to see how the scoring pace, or what it looks like, and the guys aren't bowling very good at all. These guys get new life. They get in. Look at Steve Wilson taking advantage.
Looking for help. And the 6-pin stays up for Jeff Smith. Jeff has 4 regional titles to his credit. Randy, as you mentioned, spends a lot of his time back home in Minnesota as a painter and decorator. That's his primary occupation, but he said to us today that could all change with the win.
Oh, boy.
Come on, let's go. Gotta get on the board here. Let's go, get on the board.
Jeff's a real lighthearted, funny guy. I've known him for many years. I think he joined the tour back in '86. Just a funny guy, family man. 4 kids back home, his wife Mary. I asked him last night, you know, how do you feel being on? He said, I'm stunned just to be on the show.
But when I talked to him this morning, he seemed a little bit more relaxed. And he said he might be emotional out there. Compares himself to slightly lower key Pete Weber at times.
Well, I didn't see a whole lot of the mannerisms that Pete uses when I watched Jeff bowl last night, but he was fired up.
Not the best for him. Wow.
You know,
Five-pin conversion, look at.
Yeah, he's getting the full Monty of what it's like for your first time on television. This kind of pressure, bowling on these conditions.
Yeah.
You know, if you think it's easy, come on out and try it.
Nice footwork, nice footwork.
Said he was plain
Now's
shocked.
the time. Come on.
He had made the show, but
Not a frame.
as you can hear him speaking to himself, there is time. At the open in the 2nd frame. Chance for a 46-pin lead for Wilson, who started with 3 straight strikes. Looks for the 4-bagger on lane 12. Help! How did the 2 not go down?
Well, it's we're using brand new pins this week. Brand spanking new, which means the bottoms of the pins are really flat and they don't fall as easy as used pins. Worn pins, the bottoms start to get a little more round. But you can see that ball actually did get to that dark board where he was playing the first game. But even though it's drier there now, it doesn't mean it's just going to hook back from there later in the match.
Stays perfect today on single pin.
How would you like to try to tackle Clinton Portis?
I wouldn't. Like to try,
like
that is.
in the secondary. Look out, Dave, here he comes.
Just let him go for a touchdown.
Bye-bye. Go, just go.
Back to Wilson. Back to a strike. 4 or 5 strikes for Wilson.
The game here.
When I watch a guy do something like this, watch Steve Wilson. He hits the foul line solid, the head doesn't move, the ball does this, and then there's no reaction from the player. That tells me that he is basically tunnel visioned right now. He's so focused on the job at hand that all the hoopla and the hoot and hollering doesn't even come into play.
Again, the 6-pin for Jeff Smith. Common for him, unfortunately, on that lane. Over Steele Smith in the round of 8 in 5 games. Tommy DeLutz went down in 7 the round of 32.
Real hard-fought match, even though it was only a 5-game match against Steele Smith. Rick Steele Smith bowled phenomenal. Ran into some carry problems late.
When we return after our commercial break forthcoming, we'll find out how other bowlers did in match play. Round of 32, best of 7 on up, including our Joe Ciccone.
You won't see me on that list.
Unfortunately not. We're
No.
still rooting for you.
Thanks.
You heard the confidence. Gonna bring himself to the moment. Jeff Smith, the lefty, on lane 11.
Wow.
Can't get the break.
He's left 3 6-pins on the right lane, and he's gone light every ball on the left lane. Needs to somehow get in between the two, it'd be all right. like I told you earlier, Jeffy's such a good-hearted guy. Right now, it's almost comical that he can't get his ball to face the pocket.
Covers nicely. When we return, we'll find out how other bowlers did. Round of 32 on up in match play in this semifinal. What a great start for Steve Wilson, who struck in 4 of 5 frames, and he's got a big lead on Jeff Smith, looking for the finals this afternoon. Welcome back, everyone. Grand Rapids for the PBA Pepsi Open. Steve Wilson, he's in the second semifinal over Jeff Smith. Who will take on Jason Couch in the final? That is the question. We often talk about 4- and 5-step approaches. We break down Steve Wilson's unique footwork in this week's Dexter approach, Randy.
It's got kind of like a 5-step approach with a shuffle step to get him started. Very solid and balanced at the foul line. And one of the most unique things about Steve Wilson is right here. Look at how his wrist is actually bowed the other way. Normally we see that big cup, but watch what he does on the way down. On the way down, he actually gets his wrist to go back and cup at the bottom of the swing. Beautiful soft hand and release. He said the key this week was that big soft hand to get the ball to roll and make it nice and clean with this tough B pattern condition.
Four of 5 strikes so far for Wilson in this semifinal after a decent start in that category in a match with Lonnie Waliczek in the wild card. Works on a strike, chance for a 48-pin lead with another strike here. Right through the nose it goes. Didn't like it.
You know, when you don't have any room to the right or very little room to the right, the tendency is to pull it, and that was pulled. The good news is he left the 3-6-10, something that he can convert.
Under 79%. Multi-pin conversion so far. Takes care of that one nicely.
Perfect. The objective there, go to a straight ball, plastic ball, cover all 3 pins with the ball. He did that. He's still clean through 6 frames. 38-pin lead.
So avoiding too much of a roller coaster ride. Now it turns out he loves roller coasters.
Yes, he does.
With his family, they like to tour and go out of their way, take care of the theme parks when they're on the road. Nice ball in the pocket for Steve Wilson. And there's little Sarah. Her favorite ride is It's a Small World at Disney World, of course.
Yeah, can you imagine
My
that?
4-year-old loves that one because there's no line, no fast pass.
No fast
Right
pass.
online, zip through it.
It's a small world, but it's a fast-moving ride.
I think people of all ages love that one. As promised, top 32. How they did beyond our 5 here on TV. Yeah! There's a strike for Mr. Smith. His first ever TV strike, and he loves it.
Well, it only took 6 frames, and you know, the good news is he's not out of the match. If he strikes out, he shoots 221. Steve Wilson's going at a 219 pace. That's if he spare strikes all the way to the 10th frame. So, you know what, with the conditions being the way they are, and as tricky as the lane conditions are, this is the trick-or-treat time of the year, anything can happen.
Down 28 with a strike here, but 4-7, 6-10 split. Unable to build on that strike ball.
Confusion. You know, light on that lane, all of a sudden right through the face for a big 4.
4-7 up for Jeff Smith. Does that have to do with the other lefties in the show today?
Well, you know, Jason was further right. Mike Scroggins was around the same area. Lanes, you know, who knows what the lanes could have done from practice till now, but I think that Jeff should have taken a stronger ball out and moved maybe more towards the middle part of the lane.
Wilson works on a strike, lane 12. He's it a bit high, but late trip, and he'll take it.
In the wild card match, Steve Wilson was going about the 16th board out to that spot, that 10 board. One game later, look how far left he's moved now. He's into 23-24. That's a big jump in only one game. Steve Wilson right now is just doing what he needs to do to win matches. I mean, he keeps the ball in play. He's converting. He converted 2 splits in his first match. Staying clean, keeping the ball on the line, and staying out of trouble.
62-pin lead here. Yeah! Another strike. On the foundation frame, turkey ball for Wilson. 7 strikes in the match of the 9 frames. Steve Wilson bound for the final against Jason Couch, who has not won since last year's TOC.
You know, the interesting thing about the title match is that last night, good shot, Jeff. Last night, Steve Wilson was Jason Couch's biggest fan, because if Jason Couch wins, Steve Wilson's the wild card. Now the two of them are going to battle for the title.
All righty. I will.
We'll fast track all the way through since this match has been determined. Steve Wilson is the winner.
Never mind.
Heading into this week, Steve had won just $4,500 on tour this year, but he'll boost the cash intake significantly here in Grand Rapids. 25 events without a win. Great chance for Wilson taking on Couch in the final.
Yeah, and a great week for Jeff. Jeff Smith, I know his wife, Mary, Molly, Abby, Thomas, and Susie are very proud of him. You know, he said he was going to come out for 6 tournaments, evaluate his progress, and then make a decision on whether or not he was going to continue.
Good week, Jack. Good week.
And I'm sure this is certainly going to add fuel to the fire, make it a lot tougher to decide whether he's going to stay out on tour or not.
Ball to finish this semifinal match. Steve Wilson has not won since February 24th of 2002, where he knocked off Jason Queen, the flagship Open. It's been that long since he's been on TV as well. And Steve Wilson, who folks remember, barely made it through the first 9 games of qualifying, thought that his week was over. He'd be back in the motorhome with his family. His wife, Sherry, daughter, Sarah, little Emma in the back being watched by some other bowlers' wives. All enjoying the afternoon. We are getting set on Halloween weekend in Grand Rapids for our final match. Jason Couch, Steve Wilson, lefty-righty, head-to-head. Excellent matchup here in the final. How do you see it shaking out, lefty against righty?
Well, I think it's really interesting to note that Steve Wilson hasn't made a show in a little over 2 years. Jason Couch, obviously the three-peat, the Tournament of Champions icon. But Steve Wilson, to me, looks real determined and real focused. I think he's going to give Jason all he wants.
All right, let's check out the Geico Direct Championship recap to this point, see how all of our bowlers got to this stage of the final.
In our wild card match, it was Steve Wilson defeating Lonnie Waliczek by the score of 215 to 169. Steve Wilson's 2 big split conversions were the difference in that match. And in semi number 1, Jason Couch taking on Red Hot Mike Scroggins. He would win by the score of 215 to 200. And semifinal number 2, Steve Wilson took care of Jeff Smith, 259 to 163. A little bit too much for Jeff Smith, his first time on television.
This week's Geico Direct Championship recap. Only 2 bowlers have met head-to-head from our final 5 on TV. It's Couch and Wilson. Steve has won. The final is next. We're getting set for our final match. Wilson and Couch. Steve, a big theme of the week. Bowlers after the 9-game qualifying block didn't think they'd make it on to the round of 32, much less here to the final. How has your week developed now, and your confidence level, what's it like at this point?
Well, the confidence level just grows every day for me. I just got comfortable the second day, and it's just escalated from there.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Jason, one of 3 lefties in the show today. How have the southpaws affected the oil? How will it affect your match here?
It seems like we've pushed the oil down a little bit. A little tougher to hit the pocket, a little tougher to carry, but that's why I have a pro card. It's my job to step up to the plate and do the job.
Best of luck to you. He's confident, Randy. Second ever head-to-head match on TV. Wilson and Couch.
Wow. Well, Jason Couch has every right to be confident. He's physically a phenomenal player and mentally just getting stronger and stronger. A lot of cabbage.
Yeah, that's what they said.
The players are bowling for. 40,000 for first, 20 to the runner-up, and those all-important points. Yeah, the 20,000 points looks great for second, but let's take care of that exemption by just winning. Guarantee you that's what's on this guy's mind right now. Hello.
Need help. Oh, the 10-pin, 7-pin rather, almost going over as well. Very late. Seven of his 11 strike balls for Couch in that semifinal victory. But now it's the finals, and he said it's his job to make big shots. There's one. Covers the 7. He's got his mark to begin the match. Same breakdown numbers for Wilson. Despite the length of time, Randy, between his TV show appearances, doesn't really appear nervous at all. Pretty even keel, but a tough split.
Yeah, bad break, too, leaving the 4-9. But I agree with you, Dave Ryan. That was the one thing that really stood out in my mind watching the 2 matches he bowled. You know, one thing about Steve Wilson is you see his ball going just a pinch high and not catching a good break there. One thing about Steve Wilson, I mean, his game doesn't look like it. You know, it's not the big power ball of Jason Couch or real straight. He's kind of in between, kind of a tweener. But mentally, this guy is tough as any player on the tour.
Trying to pick it up and whiffs. Leaves the 4-9, an open frame early for Steve Wilson. What a break for Couch. Baby Ruth, real deal matchup, Randy.
Yeah, there's the big difference right here, the average. And when you have a higher average, you're going to have a higher strike percentage. Because Steve Wilson just eked in, like you talked about, round of 64, then continued on. He's up that percentage with his 2 matches today.
On late 11. 10-pin.
Can't have both of them.
Steve Wilson very, very good in title matches. Only been there 5 times. He's only lost once. Battle of 2 Floridians. Steve Wilson about an hour up the road for me. Jason Couch about 3 hours, just a stone's throw from Disney World.
I'm sure Jason takes his daughters there quite frequently. Courtney and Haley, who are watching closely. We saw Jason talking to his girls throughout the match on TV. Here today. 0-1, the Battle of Little Creek. Wilson, yes, right there. Involved in that match with Couch at 246 to 228 score.
Re-rack.
Again, calls for a re-rack.
This ball is really going to bite down. Look at that ball rotating. Once it finds friction, it travels in direction of rotation.
Jason, a diehard Washington Redskins fan, made sure everyone knew before the match today in practice when he had a Fred Smoot Washington Redskins jersey. They've got a big game with Dallas today. And he'll be watching his beloved Skins after the TV show today, hopefully with a trophy and a big check for the party. However, difficult split again.
Comes in light, leaves the 7-9.
Same deal.
Not a real good break for him either, but you know what? What's good for one is good for the other. Steve Wilson didn't get one. Jason doesn't get one. They're all even in terms of breaks, not score.
not had the split converted today yet. Had a chance for a 22-pin lead had he struck there in the third frame. 7-9. Nope. Oh, chops that 7. Hoping for a little pin action off the back of the return.
Well, back in the old days when we had these rubber bowling balls and plastic, we'd only have one ring on the ball. And if it was a real narrow ring, that told you how good you threw it. But look at the new balls now. Look at all of these flares. What happens is the ball travels on or rotates on a different part of the ball on a fresh surface, and that's what creates hook down the lane.
Wilson hopes he has the hook gauge exactly right. A little high. And the 6-10 remain up for Steve Wilson.
More left, hooks more.
He's trying to make the proper adjustments as the lane evolves here late with the oil.
Right, you know, he just said he moves in, the ball hooks more. Normally it's the other way around, but, you know, we saw a lot of that this week. Ball went high, you moved left, hooked more.
So
Same
battle of attrition here, Randy. Looks like we're going to have that. Who can survive? Wilson covers on the third frame. It will not be a strike fest, that's obvious. We do not have a 300 game all week in Grand Rapids. Why is that on pattern B?
Again, I think it's because of the length. Number one, 43 feet. Number two, it was just tough to get there. When you have that OB outside the outside part of the lane, there's no room for error. And when there's no room for error, it's tough to bowl big scores.
9-pin.
And then you have to factor that in. You know, when you do get it to the pocket, if it doesn't strike, not going to have big scores.
We'll not have that today, it appears. We are going to have a dogfight.
Yeah, big.
It's going to be a battle.
Big old fist fight going on right now.
9-pin Wilson does cover. We will see how the open frame in the third for Couch affects this championship match. Steve Wilson trying to win for the first time since February of '02. Couch looking for his 11th career title. It's a great final matchup, folks. Stay with us from Grand Rapids. There's Steve Wilson's wife, Sherry, daughter Sarah, 4 years old. Little baby Emma is 5 months old. She's in back right now. And watched by some of the other PBA wives. Let's check in with the Uniroyal Tire Rock and Roll, Randy. Steve Wilson, 4-7-10, the wild card match with Lonnie Waliczek earlier today.
Yeah, you know, the theme this week was roll, and watch him roll this 4 across the lane into the 10 to make this split and to keep himself ahead in that match.
This week's Uniroyal Tire Rock and Roll. Live coverage of the PBA continuing here on ESPN. Can Steve Wilson, who has, as we mentioned, remained so focused and relaxed in this huge moment with a spot on the exempt tour next year, viable prize money and points on the line. Can he stay focused? Couch has been there before. He's won some big tournaments in his career, and there's a big shot.
Wow, just looked like he took a can opener to the 1-2 pocket and just opened up the rack.
Carlos Cepeda, special thanks to him. Pepsi Customer Marketing Manager. He and his fine staff doing a great job as our title sponsor this week from Spectrum Lanes in Grand Rapids, Michigan. $40,000 to the winner. On lane 11, Couch looking for a break in the 10-pin, will not get it.
Jason getting a little bit closer on that left lane. He's trying to get dialed in.
Talked about big tournaments Jason has won. A three-peat, the first ever to do so in the history of the PBA Tournament of Champions. 3 in a row, 99, 2000, and last year, December 15th in Uncasville, Connecticut, got by Ryan Schaefer. Also beat Ryan Schaefer in the finals of the TOC in 2000. 10-pin.
Jason winning that, the last TSC on the longest pattern we've ever bowled on. Jason excels on longer patterns, and the reason why is because he has a very high rev rate and a big hand. He throws a big hook ball. Well, on a longer pattern, his ball doesn't react as violently down the lane. It's more predictable, more readable, and when he doesn't hit the pocket, he leaves himself something he can make.
needs to get going. The strike number for his first in his championship match. You can see with the double wood just came in light.
High.
And 2 and the 8 still up here for Wilson.
It's amazing out here. You know, sometimes the way the lanes change, Steve Wilson shoots in the high 250s the last game. And right now he's struggling just to get his ball to the 1-3 pocket. It does not have a strike this game. Last game, 10 out of 12 strikes.
Which of these bowlers, as he covers nicely on the double wood, will earn exempt status for next year? That is the question. Robert Smith, Norm Duke, Brian Himmler, the 3 winners so far this year. 64, that's it, will be in the tournament field every week next year, and those are the winners so far. Brian Himmler winning at the Miller High Life Open in Greater Chicago last week. The Chief was champ in Chicagoland. 50 spots, tour points, and winners. So the drama and pressure increases as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's just the whole environment of the tour is going to change. You imagine going into a locker room where there's only 64 guys versus 160 this week. I mean, it's just the whole deal is going to be completely different for everyone. That makes that elite field.
Jason Couch had some very interesting things, Randy, to say about that today to us. Maybe some of the bowlers aren't going to help out their fellow bowlers as much with their layout, with their selection, because, hey, that could be a person taking a spot from me. So a radically different approach this year already, the effect being felt.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can see it. There's, you know, you still have the guys that'll still work with you, still help you. I worked with Del Ballard again this week. You know, Del and I have been friends forever. He's more than willing to work with me. I watch him a little bit every now and then. But I think that you're right. I mean, there's guys that are a little bit more apprehensive to help other players just for that reason.
Atmosphere adjustment without question. On lane 12, strike ball for Couch. You needed that one.
Well, Jason gets a nice break here when he trips the 6-pin forward. You can see his axis hole is actually staring at you. And then all of a sudden it starts to wobble. That's that tracked flare that we showed you earlier when that ball starts to create friction and goes right.
4 major titles. 3 of which are the TOCs. He's tied 5th all time for majors won in a career. Jason and Mike Durbin, the only 2 bowlers to win the TOC 3 times, but Durbin did not do it 3 years in a row. On lane 11, 7-pin stands for Couch.
Jason is now using 2 different bowling balls. The one he just used on the left lane is a little smoother reaction. The one he's using on the right lane is much sharper turn, sharper back end. Steve Wilson doesn't have a strike through 6 frames, and he's only 8 pins down.
Amazing. We said it would be a dogfight. Absolute scrap to the finish.
Take it up, come on.
7-pin goes down for Jason Couch. Don't forget next week, folks, 2 o'clock Eastern time start, 11 on the West Coast. Different start time for the Toledo Open. Live coverage of the PBA Tour continues here on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Much more PBA.com as well. Lane patterns, of course, features for the players. That's all coming up. 7th frame, Wilson. High shot. Nearly crossing over the head pin. He'll gladly take the break. Magic, Larry Bird coming up next. The Globetrotter game against Michigan State, Tom Izzo's Spartans. First college game of the season. It's all coming up here on ESPN as soon as we finish up this championship match. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson on the court. That should be fun to watch. 8th frame, chance for a double and a 2-pin lead for Wilson. Had to hurry. Came in light. Washout for him.
Can you say no clue?
2-10.
Is this the same pair I was just on?
Right now, Steve Wilson's completely confused with his ball reaction. Shot on the right lane goes Brooklyn. Gets a great break by tripping the 6-pin. This next ball doesn't even sniff the head pin. the way things been going for Steve today, he'll probably make this.
Big cover. Cannot take out the 10. It still stands. And a huge opening for Jason Couch.
Well, nice.
20-pin lead.
My ball just crossing.
Jason looks like a tiger that just got a whiff of raw meat. Look at when he looks up, look at his face, his demeanor, look at his eyes.
Very intense competitor. Can he take advantage? 7.
It's all right, because at least Jason's getting his ball to the pocket. He looks up to heaven and yells help. But you know what? He's in a pretty good spot right here. He's got an idea of what his ball's doing. It may not be striking right now, but at least he can get it there. Steve Wilson, on the other hand, has no idea what to do.
Eighth frame. 7-pin trying to cover. Forrest Mark does so. The man has won over $1.2 million on tour. 17th on the all-time list heading into this week. Just won $6,850 heading into this week, but big money's coming his way. Hopefully the $40,000 first place check. On lane 11. Takes them all down.
Really good ball change. He gets the strike on the left lane, which sets up his 10th frame. Jason Couch can strike out for 207. The best Steve Wilson can do is 188. Steve Wilson strikes out, and Jason Couch goes spare strike. Steve Wilson wins by 1 pin.
It's still possible. Foundation frame. Absolutely huge shot here for Wilson. Needs it. Doesn't get it. Another washout. Again, the ball comes in light. Again, the 1-2-10.
Yeah, and it's just unbelievable how locked in he was, how much the lanes changed.
That's
going from 250 to 150.
Couch is that much closer to a title, folks. This time he does cover. Great pin action into the 10-pin. Nice spare for Steve Wilson.
Steve Wilson with a couple of strikes, if it's at all possible, on that left lane. He can actually force Jason Couch to mark in the 10th frame. Anything less, Jason Couch is going to be your winner.
Magic Bird. Globetrotters against Michigan State. That's coming up next, not far from where we are in Grand Rapids, East Lansing area. MSU campus. In the pocket. That's the ball Wilson needed. Are they the strike heads? What do you call those guys?
No, they're naked. Put a shirt on that guy. It's cold outside. It's like, what is it, 40?
Been pouring here.
And rain?
Day. Absolute deluge. In Grand Rapids area. The man who's ranked 35th on the PBA Tour at the end of last season. Dramatically trying to improve that this week. He's been brilliant up until a couple of stumbles in this final match.
One more strike here. Steve Wilson will force Jason Couch to strike, or I'm sorry, to get a mark and 2 pins to win. But the way the theme of today has been going, marks not real easy to come by.
Couch is focused. On lane 11 again, needs it. 10-pin stands and a ball a bit high.
Jason still needs a mark. If he gets it, you're going to see some reaction from this guy.
Set the left lane, please.
He's trying to get the left lane reset, the 10-pin that Steve Wilson left. was still standing. Wants a full rack. Certainly doesn't want that sweep to come down in the middle of his approach. Because on the PBA Tour, you get no takeovers. Something happens down the lane, something affects your shot, it's over. It's too bad.
So good move by Couch there. The 10-pin swept away. You heard him saying, one good shot. That's what he needs. Wow. 10-pin wobbles and stays up. The new pins again.
Yeah, the new pins again. Flat bottoms on those pins. Wow.
Hoops coming up, folks.
The light shaker doesn't get the break of the 10 falling. Needs to convert, keep it on the lane. Jason Couch will be in the elite field next season.
Got to have the mark here. We've seen several open frames. Plague. The best bowlers in the world all day long. Will it again be a problem? No.
I'm going to next year.
He is exempt indeed for next
Practice
season.
pays off.
Jason Couch. Just one pin needed to clinch it. There it goes.
Yes! Woo!
His
Yes!
11th
Thank you, Pelon.
career title.
Miller Brewing, thank you.
man of the moment is Jason Couch.
Honestly.